happiness is just about 4 things if you look at it. It's about perceived control, right? You're at the steering wheel. You have control of your direction, okay? Perceived progress. Are you making progress in the places you're going? Connectedness. Who's in the car with you? The number and the depth of your relationships, okay? And vision and meaning. Are you a part of something bigger than yourself? Okay, and I just think it's psychologically rich. I think it's a really beautiful quote in terms of thinking about what it all means. But here's the bad news as we look at this. The bad news is that times of change threaten us in each of these dimensions. And so when you look at the changes we have all been through, whether it's pandemic, whether it's all of the economic dislocation that you are leading and navigating at this particular moment, well, vision and meaning, you're asking yourself, you're going through tremendous cultural change, identity change. Are we really the same as we were last year after what we've got? Have we become radically different? As you look at all of these quotes, there's this situation that I think is interesting where our structures are really playing catch up, okay, to where our minds are, where we need to be. And many of us have this feeling of being caught between the old and the new, and especially when I look at what has gone on with pandemic. There's old ways of collaboration, and we've had to throw away some of those, and we have to also create some new ways of connecting. And right now, many of us are in this space in the middle. The space in the middle where we're between old and new, there's really nothing there that is created. You are creating it right now, okay? And this is a concept that in the research, we call it liminality. And I'm wondering, is there anybody here who was an anthropology major in college? Back in the day, any anthropology majors? 500 people, not a soul, is an anthropology major. And that's why all of you have jobs today. And so we're sitting, so while I don't recommend any anthropology majors for your children or grandchildren, one of the things I do suggest is this concept, liminality. It's one of the most amazing concepts in anthropology. It's the feeling of being between worlds. Okay, and so if you look at these moments in your life, you think about moments in your life when you did not have a clear structure to be in, okay? And that psychology, that mindset of freedom, of openness is very interesting. So let me give you examples of what liminality looks like. So these are the moments where, for example, you graduate from college. You're not a student, you're not a working person yet, okay? So you're kind of in between, and you can see people, if you remember those days, you were kind of maybe traveling to Europe, doing something incredible, you're exploring, your identity is free. You're not stuck in the day-to-day routine that you get locked in when you're a student or a working person. There's freedom, and that freedom is incredible exploration if you think about it, okay? But it's also very stressful. It's also very hard, okay? And so what I want to do is I want us to really explore what I call these 2 channels of the mind. And the 2 channels of the mind is when you're in this mode of structure and this mode of freedom, and how we work between those worlds, when they work, why we struggle in that. Let me show you an example. It's an audio clip. I'm going to just play it right now. Okay, did anybody make any sense of that clip right there? What did you hear? I thought, some people, I said you have special powers, special dog ears that allow you to make sense of that. Okay, nobody made sense of it. Let me hear this clip now.
I read a book today.
Okay, now let's play the first clip, same clip I played before once again. This is exactly, I love the word you used, which is frame, okay? The minute that you have that frame, the minute you have the anchor, okay, now you have a structure. You're able to make sense of it, okay? And you find the signal in the noise, okay? And without any frame of reference, without any structure, what is a human being to do, okay? How are we able to capture all of the chaos around us? And then the next question is going to be, where do these frames come from? Okay, and so these frames may be from our past, from our expectations, so that we sometimes hear what we want to hear. We hear what we expect to hear, okay? And are the frames that we have in mind really the appropriate one for the new chaos, the new noise? Perhaps we're just using the old frames that we had in our mind to structure and make sense of new realities. Sometimes what we see is one person ends up kind of taking control, dominating, and filling the vacuum. So instead of getting all of the collective brain power going, it ends up being dominated by a single person. Are you the single person?
Quite to the contrary.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought, I have no ideas I'm going to contribute, so I'll be the scribe. But what was interesting, I thought, was we came up with half a dozen or 8 different ideas that made credit unions unique from the fintechs, things we can do differently. But the other thing that I observed was that we had a, oh, that's a great idea, let's talk about that. And we had a couple micro conversations going on and not focusing on the brainstorm.
On the generation of ideas, right?
Correct,
and so the productivity, the output, we kind of want to kind of socialize, talk about tell the story, right? And so what we see sometimes is we have to separate out the production from the exploration a little bit. And so when I teach the brainstorming, one of the things we love to say is just kind of get out as many ideas as possible. And so 6 to 8 in 5 minutes is a great number, okay? And so we want somebody to capture those ideas, and then what we want people to do. And if you do design thinking, you'll see how we do this. But we then start grouping the ideas into different categories. We put labels on them and see what types of ideas they are. And then we start creating mental models from that, saying which idea is connected to which idea, how are they related to each other, so that we can kind of integrate, put everything together. And so this is how we take a lot of really complex ideas, generate a lot of them, build out a really great pool, and then structure it, okay? But there's this really intriguing problem with brainstorming that I want to kind of highlight right now, and it really kind of directs us to the second channel of the mind. What happens is that there's this vacuum, like you were saying, and people rush to fill it. And so they very rapidly start calling out solutions, okay? And so you get, 6 to 8, you get 15, 20 solutions. Everybody's kind of on this search for the answer.